Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Comics Pals Reviews. It's the dynamic duo, which now I guess applies to Tyler and I, because we're here and we're going to talk some comics.
Does that make me Robin?
Yes.
Which
one
Robin?
I'm not sure about. I don't know if you're a dick.
I am a dick. I am a dick. If I'm a Robin, I think I'm more of like the synth pop artist Robin. This is going right over your head, Sean. All right, let's keep going. Yep. Call your girlfriend, dancing on your own.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
That's my favorite Robin, if I'm being real here. Right before the show, me and Sean talked about our love for Lady Gaga. So
why are you I didn't consent to you putting me on blast.
What? I mean, I'm wearing a Lady Gaga shirt.
There's a lot of things going on your shirt. That's not just the Lady Gaga shirt.
Yeah, I just knocked my rum down. I'm good.
Oh no,
we're good. It's empty.
Okay, good.
I killed it. We're good.
Good. All right. So we've got 4 books to talk about. So no shortage of conversation this week between Tyler and I. We have Wonder Woman Historia, the Amazons #1.
Oh, the Olivier Coipel variant there.
Yes, very cool. We've got Human Target #2.
Good stuff.
We have Venom #2.
Do you hear the Eminem song because of Pete in your head anytime you hear Venom?
Yes, but not because of Pete. I genuinely like the song. So
you like that shitty Eminem song?
Yeah, man. Venom. Shitty. The lyrics are really good. You got
I maintain the past decade of Eminem has been shitty. So,
and I maintain that you're absolutely wrong. I think if you listen to Recovery again, you'll find a lot of things to like. And MMLP2 is really great.
I would go so far as to say all of Eminem's discography is shitty, but you know.
Well then,
I'm gonna get kicked off the show.
This show's gonna have to end now. I'm gonna have to do it solo. Tyler, I'm sorry, man. That's just how could I trust you with an opinion?
I guess I'm Jason Todd right now.
You are Jason.
Just about to get killed off.
And you know what? Speaking of things that I'm unhappy with, Trial of Magneto #4.
Oh, you mean Scarlet Witch #4?
Yeah. Scarlet Witch the End #4. If you want to support the show and join the conversation, make sure that you guys are leaving us a follow, a rating, and a review wherever it is that you listen to the show. If it's YouTube, that's youtube.com/thecomicspals. Please do hit the subscribe button. We are still on the road to 500 subscribers. We would love to make that happen before the end of the year. We're less than 50 away, so not too far. So everyone who listens to this, if you hit that subscribe button, you will get us that much closer to 500. Listen to our Wednesday reviews, Tyler. I
couldn't do a hand. Yeah. I don't have 3 hands.
Yeah, we're drinking, so excuse him.
Not. Literally just started.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Listen to our Wednesday reviews. They drop every Wednesday. It's Image Comics that we talk about. This week we talked about a surprisingly good issue of Spawn, 234.
Really?
Yeah, it was written by Rory McConville.
There we go.
Yeah,
yep.
Time before time. So he did a great job.
I think that's the problem with Spawn. It's McFarlane.
Absolutely. 100% yes. And we talk about that every week on the review show. And then on Mondays, if you guys want to check out our main show, The Comics Pals, we're talking about the characters you love and all the places you can find them. This week, we talked about what we were thankful for, what comics, what news, what movies we were thankful for, and just shared the love with you guys. So good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, let's talk about this other comic I picked up. I just want to show the cover. I have to. YouTube, you're getting to see this cover. X-Men #5 didn't arrive in physical until this week.
Please. Okay.
I got the Hot Fire Jean Grey Cyclops cover.
Oh, the Stormbreakers variant.
Stormbreaker variant. Yes, indeed. This one was by Ivan Cabello, and he did a tremendous job. Look at that.
I'm a big fan of Coelho. I think Coelho's done some good shit, but there's something missing on that cover.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Wolverine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We need our poly triple needs some more representation. It's only been alluded to.
After this episode, you and I are done professionally. sorry to tell you.
Come on, you don't want I don't want to say you don't want to see that because that sounds pervy. But like I don't know. I feel like Krakoa, that's normal.
No, Jean Grey is sacred.
She can do whatever she wants.
She can, but I don't think that she does.
Fair.
All right. Now, on to something that we agree on is Wonder Woman Historia Amazons. This is a book that has been long in the making. I can't even remember the first time I heard rumblings about this, but it's been a while.
What do you think it would be? Like 2000?
I want to say 2018. Is that crazy?
That's not crazy. And like that seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it's 4 years ago.
Almost 4 years ago. Yeah. So of course, this is by Kelly Sue DeConnick, who I don't know if she's written Wonder Woman before. This is the first Wonder Woman of hers I'm reading. I'll say that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very Wonder Woman light, spoiler, but
yeah.
So, but yeah, this is the first time I think the last thing I even remember her writing was Aquaman.
Right. Aquaman. Yeah. I think that was her arrival to DC. But Phil Jimenez on art, Hi-Fi, Arif Prianto, and Romulo Fajardo Jr. did the colors, and Clayton Cowles did the letters. And when I tell you that there are a lot of pages that each one of those artists had to work on, it's unbelievable. I'm actually going to show pages throughout this review. So if you're on YouTube, you'll get to see that, because this book is a visual masterwork. It's a feast. It really is. Like, look at this. If you're on YouTube, check this out. Can you see that?
I mean, it's a feast that's a week after Thanksgiving, but it's still so good. And like, I'm a big Jimenez fan in general.
Mm-hmm.
Jimenez did what was it Infinite Crisis?
Want to say
one of the crises.
Yeah.
I always get it. It's Crisis Infinite Earths is the original. It's got to be Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
So it's just like one of those artists that like is DC, you know, it's the DC I know and love, the comfort food DC that I remember. But this is next level for him. And I think it has a lot to do with the different kinds of, you know, colorists he has on it, but
and the time
and definitely the time, because just looking at it, you can tell it's just there's so much painstaking detail into every single panel of this book. It is insane. I'm just going to go off right off the bat and say, like, pull this.
Definitely.
Just to look at the art, if anything. It's nuts.
Yeah, this is a visual feast. This is the kind of thing that whether you like comics or not, it's undeniable how beautiful this is. And you can hold this up as like, this is what comics can be from a visual perspective. It's gorgeous. You turn to any page and it's like, wow, this is unreal. You know, and we talk about how hard it is to make comics from an art perspective and how much time it takes and stuff like that. Imagine the works that we hold up as like masterworks that came out on monthly schedules. What if they had 2 months? What if they had 3 months? You know, what if they had since 3 years before the book came out? How great would these books look?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's you can say that about you know, pretty much any comic, especially because they're kind of shuffled out so fast. I mean, I'm also reading, you know, Amazing Spider-Man right now, which is weekly. You know? But like, if somebody can actually kind of just, you know, dig their feet in and really make their, I don't know if I would consider this Jimenez's magnum opus or anything. It's too early for that. But like, somebody can actually really, really kind of commit themselves to something. This is a preview of what that can look like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a visual feast. It's a masterwork, and I think it might be just this one issue might be his magnum opus. It's unbelievable. It's an impressive feat. It really is. And like Tyler said, you know, we can go on and on about it from a visual standpoint. You guys have to buy it. You've got to see this for yourself. And, you know, I don't come on here to make it a digital versus physical thing. I like to poke fun at Tyler and Marco, but this is one where I really, really think you should own it physically. I really do.
Can I have a counterpoint there?
Sure.
I think the binding makes it a little harder to read physically, and I think you get more digitally, especially with the amount of double pages that are in this.
Holding it in your hands, you think that that's a worthy trade-off?
Yeah. Because even the pages you showed, it kind of it's obscuring the art a bit.
That's my goofy ass how I'm holding it. All right.
Okay, maybe I don't have it physically, so I can't say. But
in any event, this book wasn't what I expected story wise. Full spoilers as we always do. It doesn't feature Wonder Woman.
Nope.
It's more of a story about the birth of the Amazons and sort of why they exist, which is rooted in, man's perennial abuse and mistreatment of women, creating a race, I guess, of women who are unencumbered by man. And it's a slightly different take than what I'm familiar with, which the book does open kind of saying like, whatever you think forget it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is not canon. It's a Black Label thing, but that's pretty interesting opening.
Yeah, I think all the gods look differently than they do in the main continuity DC Comics. This kind of feels like the Silmarillion for Wonder Woman in a way. It's like this almost textbooky. I would maybe consider it more like it's a little more flowery, like the Bible, I guess, for the history of the birth of the Amazons. But yeah, it's a definitely different take on it. It's a little more brutally honest, I feel.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. And it's written by a woman too, which is, I think, more appropriate for the subject matter of the story. And I like how it feels like, in a way, Kelly Sue kind of bringing her experience to the idea of the Amazons, which has been typically written by men mostly.
Sure. Yeah.
Created by a man, for the comic. I can pretty much name the amount of, high profile, non-male authors on the book.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's probably less than 10.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially you're talking about high profile. How many high profile women are there?
Sure.
For the big
and one of them who wrote Wonder Woman wasn't even like a comic book writer. It was Jodi Picoult who wrote The Notebook. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a brutally honest take, and I'm watching Mad Men right now for the first time, and that's a show about and there's a lot of hyper misogyny on it, and this felt almost like a weird reaction to that. It was a lot easier to grasp with Kelly Sue's perspective here when I'm currently watching a show that deals entirely with, how men sort of mistreat women. And Zeus's conversation with everyone kind of directly related to that in my mind, because he's cavalier in his dismissal of their concerns. This is just the way it is, and that's the way it's always going to be, and it works itself out, so leave me alone, was kind of his thing.
Yep.
And it felt right. It felt appropriate what he was saying.
That whole scene of the gods being like, "Oh, not all men,"
right. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh God, I've seen this YouTube comment before." And
that was something that I was a little bit bothered by, was that the dialogue of the other gods, it felt like here's what an actual human male would say. Let me have a god say it. And I guess gods are not above being sexist, but I don't know. I guess gods are petty, so it is what it is.
Especially Zeus.
Zeus, I was fine with. Zeus, that made perfect sense to me. But it was every man, and that gets a little grating. But I don't think the book overdoes it. I think it has that one scene, and then it moves on to what's more important.
Great scene, by the way.
It is. Yeah. It absolutely is. Visually, too. Tremendous.
The character designs for all the gods are distinct and stunning, honestly, for every single one of them.
Yeah. Man, I can't get over it. Like, even the colors are amazing. I think I shouted out 3 different colorists. I can see why it took 3, but there's never a moment where it feels disjointed or like their styles don't mesh. I certainly can't tell who's who.
Yeah. Each colorist was only contracted for a year, so they had to go to 3 of them. I'd be curious to see where the delineation of work is, though.
Yeah,
because it is very cohesive in terms of the coloring. I would say maybe it gets a little, you can see the color change once they get to the more grounded on Earth stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I wouldn't say that it was bad. No, but it's noticeable. You can tell.
Yeah.
It felt like the difference between the two different story arcs that were sort of running concurrently during Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman run, where one was very much like, action heavy and taking place in the present, and the other took place in the past. Like, it was fine.
Sure.
But yeah, this is a gorgeous story. Like, I almost don't even know what to say about it. Like, we've sort of said it all. It's a really great, harrowing story of these gods who are women creating the next generation of mini gods, Amazons on Earth. And I really love the Hippolyta stuff. I thought that was awesome. I have no connection or relationship to that character, but seeing her reworked origin and how that ties into what will eventually be Diana's origin and stuff like that, I think this was all stellar stuff.
No, yeah, same. This is it's kind of a shame that we have to wait till quote unquote spring 2022 for the next one. But this is one of those like giant prestige format books, like a Batman Creature of the Night, stuff like that. Where if this is what I get each time, I'm all for it. This is gonna be a great collection though.
Oh man.
Like imagine like just like an oversized hardcover. You know how like Image does like those like real thick ones for like, I think like Black Science has like a good hardcover for Deadly Class. I want this in like a nice leather bound hardcover. Like I feel like that's what it needs,
I agree. I think, Wonder Woman is a character who I often feel hasn't been defined quite yet. That writer hasn't come along and just laid it down, laid down the definitive Wonder Woman story. And I'm not sure that this will end up being that, especially because it's Black Label, so it's not canon. But
I feel like Azzarello it came closest, but then everyone after him kind of ignored it.
Exactly.
So yeah. And
that's kind of the problem. Like Chris Claremont's X-Men stuff is still like relevant today. Brian Azzarello's has been ignored, and that was only 10 years ago, like less than that. So, but yeah, great comic. I hesitate to say it's my pick of the week.
How can it not? I mean, I'm curious to see what your other option is.
I know. I'm torn between it and the next pick or the next book we're going to read because I really loved Human Target #2.
You're a big noir crime guy, I bet, right? Yeah. I get it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
If you look behind, like if I could focus my camera on the shelf behind me, there's like a lot of like fade outs back there, I love that kind of shit too. So on any other week, I'd agree with you, but like just Historia was
I think wild. You're right. Yeah, it's okay. Historia is my pick of the week. You're right, but Human Target
is my pull of the week.
It came really close, man. This is a special comic. I don't think I've been as high on a Tom King book on issue 2.
Sure.
Since
this is much more simple though. That's why.
Yeah.
It's not high concept. This is him working in a genre. This is him doing noir. And then this is also Greg Smallwood saying, I know what noir is, but I'm going to buck the trend with the style of it. Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes it so visually compelling. There are a lot of comic book artists that Tom could have picked for this who would have been more traditionally appropriate for it, but they wouldn't have been able to bring this flair that's making this feel so special. Of course, we already shouted out Tom King, Greg Smallwood, but on letters we have Clayton Cowles, and then that's the creative team. Just those three.
Smallwood's choice of coloring in this is, it's so antithetical to what noir typically is. You know, heavy blacks, everything is in the dark, which it is. There's tons of shadow in this, but none of it is dreary or dark. It's very cool. It's very warm. It's modern too. I feel like like Mike Spicer, one of the other colorists we shout all the time, on Swamp Thing and Beta Ray Bill, tons of almost neon colors, greens, purples, traditionally secondary colors using it, whereas comics is traditionally a lot of primary colors, especially with superhero books. It's really interesting, and it's really, really pretty. Even though he's drawing Ana de Armas as Ice here, there's literally a panel.
So?
There's a panel on let me see if I can find it on here. I think it's like page. It's literally like, I watched Knives Out too. That's nice to see.
I don't even know who that is. So
from Knives Out. You never seen Knives Out?
I've never seen Knives Out.
The most recent James Bond. Oh, I think it's page. Oh boy. 25.
I see it. I just
when they're in the water.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine. I'm fine with little photo referencey stuff. I mean, we're gonna be talking about Brian Hitch later, but so yeah, no, I really like this.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody kind of play in the sandbox of the DC universe in a different way is fun.
I actually just read Reckless by Brubaker and Phillips.
And one of the criminal books.
It's not a criminal book. It's an offshoot. It's like its own new universe that they're doing. Okay. And all these noir crime stories are always about a girl. And I love the introduction of Ice in this one. Wow. First of all, we understand she's a stunner. She's a knockout. But she's got this crazy story. Her backstory is unreal. Mm-hmm. She killed her father and her grandfather by accident, and she blocked it off and created this whole narrative that she's this princess and all this other stuff. And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Yeah. It's the classic femme fatale,
Yeah.
Of course, issue 2, you got to introduce it, really solidify this as a noir comic. But it's real interesting because at the same time, if we're going by noir rules, she probably did it,
right.
But I feel like this is not traditionally going to follow that,
Tom sets up a few potential whodunits. It could have been Ice. It could have been Fire, who I hadn't thought about at all.
It's still going to be Gnort. Let's be real.
But that's the crazy thing, dude. So this is what, 2 of 8, 2 of 10.
Wouldn't it be 12? Wouldn't 12 make more sense?
Sorry,
though?
Yeah, of course it's 12.
Okay, yeah.
If the whole story was just about Christopher figuring out whether Ice, Fire, or Guy did it, I'd be fine with that.
Sure.
But every other issue is going to give us various suspects.
Yep.
This is going to get wild.
Which is funny that I mentioned Ana de Armas from Knives Out, because what was that? That was a whodunit, Right. So I wonder if that's a specific choice there.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I would imagine so. Probably a lot more rooted in some sort of logic than choosing Olivia Munn in Strange Adventures.
Somebody just watched a lot of Attack of the Show.
Listen, I don't blame them. YouTube.com, they got all those episodes, and I've watched them.
I'm watching the new stuff. It's pretty good.
I gotta check that out. I haven't.
It's good stuff. It's so nice to have G4 back.
Yeah, man. Did they get Morgan Webb?
No, but they have Qasim G doing some comic book stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just the back and forth between these two characters throughout the issue is really great. I think Tom King gets better. He's getting better as a writer.
I think he's also saying he's not listening to the internet anymore. I listened to a podcast with him and Josh Flanagan on iFanboy, which whenever iFanboy talks to Tom King, it's great because he came up in comics from the iFanboy forums.
Oh.
So it's like a super friendly relationship, but how he would read comments about, Heroes for Hire, he mentioned, and how he screwed that up, and he admits it. He's like, yeah, I did screw it up. I didn't understand who Barry was properly.
Heroes for Hire.
Heroes in Crisis, that one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So he talks about, he's like, yeah, I screwed up. I didn't understand Barry, I guess, which I appreciate that. So yeah, there's, this I think is going to be one of those Tom King books that lines up there with Vision and stuff, so.
I agree. I agree. I guess I come into any Tom King book worried about at what point is it going to fall off a cliff. And I hate to say that because I genuinely love Tom's work and I thought Rorschach was brilliant. But Heroes in Crisis had a lot of promise, and I that didn't work for me. Mr. Miracle was great, and then it wasn't. So
really,
yeah.
Oh, I maintained Mr. Miracle was great throughout the whole thing. Are you reading Supergirl at all?
I read the first issue and then I stopped. I don't know why.
Fair. It's got an interesting storytelling device, but
yeah. I thought this was great. I'm really loving the mystery aspect of it. When we first reviewed this, I forgot that whoever tried to kill whoever is the culprit wasn't necessarily trying to kill, Christopher. They were trying to kill Lex.
Yeah.
And this issue helped that to click for me. And then I realized, so anyone could have done that.
Yeah. Lex could have done it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which again, that's another noir trope, like the first guy you see is the one who did it,
There you go.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I get more excited about it the more I talk about it. But let me tell you something. The last page was actually my favorite because it's the last page where we realize that this guy knows everything. Like, not everything, but that he was never fooled by Ice. He knew what she was trying to do. He understands that she very well could still be the killer. Or the killer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing. As the kids say, he's with the shits. Is that what people say now? Am I using that right? I don't know.
Okay, Tyler, listen, you're not an old man. They said that
I know,
in your day too.
Okay. All right. Fine. Yeah. This Buffalo cold has me feeling really old. So, and that rhymed. So
that was a close, almost my pick of the week.
Same.
Definitely buy it, I think.
What's your favorite noir story? Could be anything. Movie,
man,
book.
You know what? My immediate thought when you said that was Velvet.
Oh, okay.
Because Velvet is a Brubaker joint because it's a woman that's the main character. Sure. And I loved how it bucked every expectation. She's an older woman, but she's still a beast. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I thought that was special. I really love Velvet.
Mine's Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I don't know if you're serious or not, but
I'm 100% serious. Look at this. I have a friggin' Roger Rabbit hat. I'm 100% serious. Have you watched that recently? Have you ever seen it?
I've seen it many times, but not in the last 15 years.
Check it out. It's
all right.
I'll give good it a watch. Noir. It's good noir.
You know what I'm going to include? If you can include Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I'm including The Great Mouse Detective.
Sure. That's a blind spot for me. I'll have to check that out.
Oh man. You know what? No one's ever seen that movie. It's one of those Disney classics that I really feel like is underrated.
It was in their bad era where they were like reusing a lot of art and stuff. So
I don't know anything about that, but
I know too much.
Let's talk about Venom.
Venom.
There you go.
That's repeat.
Rom V, Brian Hitch, Andrew Curie on inks, and Alex Sinclair on colors. Clayton Cowles did the letters and the production elements. So Clayton Cowles all over the place as per usual. I thought this was also very good. Rom V, I don't think has really missed for me. I didn't care too much for Radio Apocalypse. But this is good. It doesn't do anything mind-blowing. This issue is very much setting up the players and kind of what the sandbox is going to be for the Dylan parts of this story. But I think it all works. I think it's all effective.
Yeah, I am enjoying this too. I like how the end of Cates' run kind of really set this wild, crazy status quo for Venom that anyone could have just ignored.
Yeah.
And instead, Ewing and mostly Rom in this one have really leaned into it and separated, the two main stories between Eddie and Dylan. which is one's a grounded, almost street level superhero book, and one is a cosmic space opera.
Yeah.
And like, where does that meet up is where I'm kind of excited to see where that goes.
Right. Typically for me, I'm not that interested in the son of X or the cousin of X or whatever.
Son of X, new X-Men book coming out next spring.
I'd be shocked if that's never been done. In fact,
it's pronounced Son of 10. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh man. But I think that they found a great hook to create a legacy character that sort of makes sense. You know, the Venom symbiote doesn't have to be with Eddie. It's been with other people before. I never really loved that. I thought the Flash Thompson stuff was okay, but pretty much every other host I didn't care about.
You thought the Flash Thompson stuff was okay?
No. Like I liked it a lot. I mean, it was acceptable. Whereas like Mac Gargan and the other hosts, I don't care about.
All right. Okay.
I
was gonna say you're a big Remender fan. I have a huge soft spot in my heart for Flash Thompson.
No, dude, that run was
I own
serious.
every issue.
Me too.
It's so good.
That was legit. And I think that was my first time giving Remender a chance.
And it's been great since.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like Dylan, you know, and I like the idea that, you know, the Venom symbiote, right, carries Eddie Brock within it, right? Aspects of Eddie influence the symbiote's identity, similarly to how it's influenced by Peter. And so in a way, Eddie Brock's positives and negatives are being passed on to his son by the symbiote itself.
Yeah, the symbiote's this strange uncle for Dylan in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like I really like the dynamic between the symbiote, if I'm doing the movie stuff. And you know, Eddie, it's not the same dynamic that all the Symbrock fans want it to be. But I think it's really interesting. And how I've read 1 and 2 back to back because I didn't get to 1. I wasn't on the show for 1. I forget which issue it's in though, but there's the symbiote is just wearing civilian clothes and a baseball cap. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine with that. It's great. It's great.
And those are things that, you know, I probably wouldn't have loved at another time in my life. But I kind of like that the symbiote is finding ways to hang around and, you know, not necessarily just stick around in the body of whoever. You know, it's not bonded fully with Dylan, I think is the idea. Whereas with Eddie, it was. So it would just stay in his body 24/7.
Yeah. And this is all because the story allowed it to happen. There was buildup there.
Right.
You know, this isn't just like a new status quo that happens, you know, some editorial mandate and then bam, there's this new dynamic that we have to just accept. You know, credit to Cates. He really built up this. He took the important parts of a lot of Venom storylines throughout the years and kind of solidified it. And then through his 50-ish long issue run, that's a decent amount, you know.
Yeah. Especially for the modern era.
Yeah, he did really good for it. So it's nice to see some continuity in comics again.
And you know who we have to thank for all of that? None other than Brian Michael Bendis. Because if it wasn't for Bendis, we probably wouldn't have gotten all the Clintar crazy madness.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where you're going with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks.
Guardians of the Galaxy Venom. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. He really like reintroduced the idea of the symbiote Venom as a space character. Sure. So one of his last like major contributions to Marvel.
Which, if you'd asked me, 2 years ago, would you consider that a major contribution? No.
No, yeah, of course.
Like you had Venom Space Knight, which was like a 12 issue, series. I forget even who did that one. But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. They bring back the Life Foundation here, which I like. Obviously, you could make the argument, the movie, blah, blah, blah. But the Life Foundation is really tethered to Venom, and there's no reason you can't bring it back. It's just a company.
Sure.
So giving Dylan something physical to have to contend with, especially something that his father already dealt with, I really, really love the generational aspects of what Ram is doing here. It's perfect for a character that's a symbiote. It's literally linking father and son when father and son are not together. I think it's awesome.
And there's a weird parallel going on with what he's writing in Swamp Thing too. There's that familial aspect of Swamp Thing that's dealing with it, and a new character accepting this otherworldly, power in it. Yep. So I'd be curious as this goes on to see like where those two line up.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's nothing revelatory, but when you buy Venom, right, you're not expecting to get. I mean, for me, right?
Nuance.
Yeah, exactly. Because even the Donny Cates run, good as it was, which I didn't finish it, but I read a bulk of it. It's not like it was like this deep, real gritty story delving into the soul of Eddie and Dylan. This feels like it could be that, from Rob's perspective, at least. We'll see what Al Ewing has to bring to the table. We haven't seen much of his story yet.
What's your opinion on Brian Hitch?
Cool. Glad you brought that up. I was less into what he did in this issue.
Okay.
There was some points that I was like, this isn't the best. Like, for example, for you YouTube viewers, this panel right here, this top one.
With Sleeper.
Yeah, I thought that it just doesn't look great. And there's a couple of panels that I felt like that about. Like, I didn't love this splash page here. I think it's on the wrong side, first of all.
Okay.
And it just makes it look visually kind of odd to me. Traditionally,
the balance is off.
Yeah. You would put the single page splash on the right side, not the left. And it was jarring to come onto that.
I don't really experience that digitally, which is a negative aspect of digital, I will say. The page turn doesn't really exist.
Right. Yeah. What about you? What do you make of him so far?
I've traditionally been hot and cold with Brian Hitch.
Sure.
You have his Ultimate stuff. Hitch is a well-known name.
Absolutely.
But I find a lot of it is almost like he's copying his own work. Like that Venom page you just showed. I guarantee you I've seen that same pose and in a Spider-Man thing. Captain America's on the same pose in Ultimates. Like, it's Brian Hitch. Is it bad? No. But it's like an okay bowl of mac and cheese. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say no to it.
Right.
But could you have added a little spice to it? Could you have made it a little better? Probably. Maybe I'd use like a white cheddar next time. But I won't say no to it.
Fair enough. I like Brian Hitch. I think he gets a bad rap, but you're right that it does feel like playing the hits. A lot of it is very familiar, and I would love to see him stretch his muscles. Look at what is Swamp Thing. Mike Perkins. Mike Perkins is like, that's career stuff that he's doing.
Sure, yeah. Or even Jimenez.
Been around.
Jimenez previously.
Yeah,
like Jimenez has been around for decades at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy stuff now. So yeah.
So I would love to see Brian Hitch just kind of stretch a little more and do something more bombastic and surprise us.
Which I think once we get to the space stuff, it has a chance to do. Like, because I don't traditionally pair Hitch up with the idea of like cosmic Marvel,
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's great.
Isn't it weird how Venom has been one of the most consistent titles for the past decade? Like,
never thought I would say that.
I know. Yeah.
I never would have. In fact, if it wasn't for the praise that Rick Remender's Venom got, I literally never would have purchased a Venom comic book.
That's fair.
But then as it turns out, I've been buying Venom. I mean, I bought that and then Donnie and now. So yeah.
Even the stuff in between Remender and Donny Cates was a little, but it was still decent, Like, I don't remember it being horrible. Actually, I do remember it being horrible.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, whose run was
Space Knight was...
Yeah, so it's great stuff. I think you pick it up. Venom is hot right now. If you are a fan of Venom, I think you pick it up. But if you're tired of symbiotes, I don't think that has to mean that you can't buy this book. Because under the surface, right, under the Venom hood, there is a story with heart here that I think anyone can enjoy.
Yeah, I agree.
The
Trial of Magneto, number 4.
Trial of Sean Bartley. How long can I do this? Um,
I mean, one more. You can do one more.
I'm gonna have to do one more, but do I want to is a different question. Leah Williams is the writer. Lucas Warnick and David Messina did the art. Edgar Delgado on colors. Clayton Cowles on letters, and of course Tom Muller, the designer. Did you see that Tom Muller announced that he's putting a comic out?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Super excited.
Do you think he gets paid for each book? He's got to get a design credit for this dude's making the good design money. I hope.
I mean, that's like a producer credit, I think.
Yeah, but also Marvel and Disney haven't been giving David Aja anything for the Hawkeye series, even though a lot of the marketing material is directly referencing his art. Never mind.
That's disgusting.
Yes. But Trial of Scarlet Witch #4. The book with Magneto in the title that does not have Magneto in it.
That has Magneto in it in like a non-speaking role the entire time.
I don't remember him being in it.
I wish I could forget him being in it.
I don't.
So the book opens on a page that up front, I'm going to say I don't feel like it earned. And I'm talking about this
I didn't read it. Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
Okay. Another digital versus print issue. I had to turn my screen lock on because it kept auto rotating.
Right.
Is either that or I went on the floor and like circled around it.
I'm not doing that. Not for a book I'm not enjoying. I would do it for a book that I'm really loving. But I knew it was going to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I understand how that sounds, but for 3 issues, I feel like I have not gotten what I was promised. And not only am I not getting what I'm promised, I'm not getting something I like. So I'm not gonna give myself a headache for that page. Sorry, just not gonna do it.
It gave Pete a headache when he read it, and he's not even on the show.
I mean, yeah, my man got a headache from trying to read this, and he said, "You know what, guys, I can't come."
Pete can't do Scarlet Witch books anymore. It's just too much. Yeah.
Nope, you won't see him on these anymore when Scarlet Witch is around. I don't want to bash it, man. I really don't.
I feel like it is a victim of its marketing. I think it's a big thing of it because I do have some preconceived notions about what I was expecting in this book.
Yeah,
I was expecting a trial and B Magneto, and then C X-Men. But I get none of those in it. Instead, I get Scarlet Witch and the Avengers. Which, if you had marketed this as a Scarlet Witch Avengers story, I'd be giving it more of a leeway. I think it's a serviceable story. It's a serviceable Scarlet Witch mini about how you reintroduce her new status quo in the current Marvel universe. But it's not what they told me this book would be. And even then, I think it's I don't know what the tone of this book is. I'm having trouble with tone. Yeah, the tone's a little all over the place. And okay, the Lucas Warnick art I think is good.
Yeah.
But there are panels literally reused constantly in this book. And there are some panels, which maybe it's something I can see digitally and you can't see in print, that are the same panels just zoomed in. And then you see, like when you zoom in on a picture, the grain is off.
Yeah.
It's like you just forgot to hit enter in Photoshop or something. Like,
I'm looking for an example of that. That's pretty, that's brutal.
Yeah, I can bring one up. It's I think after the... Yeah, I think so. It's after the old Scarlet Witch is yelling at the young Scarlet Witch when they're in like the garden. I think it's page 11 possibly.
Where she says love hurts.
Where she says endangering your children, you have to let them go. There's like that weird swirly stuff. I can show you here.
Okay.
And the page following it where Wanda's screaming no is pretty much the same page, just recolored from the previous page. Same panel.
Yeah.
And I found a couple instances of that where I was, actually the next page when Scarlet Witch is crying in front of Wiccan, it's reused again in the following panel on the next page.
Yeah,
reposition flipped. Wanda.
Yeah. It's literally flipped.
Fine, I guess with digital art, that's something you can do now. But it ain't blowing my socks off. My socks are still on.
Well, my socks are off, but that's because
hey, don't show them. You'll end up on Wiki Feet.
No. We can't have that.
No, not for free anyway.
The dialogue was rough, man. I gotta tell you, I'm not invested in the dialogue. I'm really struggling. Scarlet Witch yelling, "I'm not responsible for the monster attack," is just come on. Like that's not good.
I get it. I get it.
And there's a lot of references to, deep magic stuff and the spin the wheel. I'm sure all of that has, some type of magical relevance. But I think that why am I blanking on her name right now? Jeez. She's doing Excalibur. Teenie Howard. Sure. I think Teenie Howard did a much better job with all that stuff. And granted, she's working with tarot cards and not necessarily magic, but you can tell that Teenie Howard, that's a part of her DNA as a human being, and she's an expert at synthesizing that with comics. You don't necessarily have to like it, but it's done well.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas here, I don't even understand what I'm looking at, and that's the problem. It doesn't even make sense. Spin the wheel for what? What does that mean? It's just words if you don't explain it. And the past, present, and future Scarlet Witch. Okay, like
there was also no visual distinction between the past and present one.
Right? Yeah, they're the same person. They look the same.
You can give the past one the original Avengers Scarlet Witch costume, and then give the present one the modern day. Who drew that Scarlet Witch book?
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
It was written by the guy that wrote Starman. I forget. It was a good book.
In any event,
yeah.
There is no distinction. It's difficult to tell which one is which.
And also like the whole thing with like, oh, she's manifested these kaiju, and then she turns them off, but they're still fighting back. Like I'm like, is there some? I don't know.
And is that honestly the kind of like conflict that we're doing in a modern X-Men comic that's supposed to feel weighty? Like when everything we really care about in the X-Men so far has been politics and the future and existential crisis, kaiju is what we're dealing with.
And I was a little let down too in the beginning, where like one of the things you were talking about was like, oh, maybe the what are the 5 people who resurrect people called?
The 5, right?
The 5, yeah. Like we're like, oh, maybe they'll have this real deep, philosophical debate on whether or not they bring Scarlet Witch back, and they start to have it, and then it's like, oh, whoops, she's doing it herself.
Yeah.
How? Chaos magic, I guess. Just.
And this book has no relevance to the X-Men. It's not forcing us to confront tough questions. It's not forcing us to confront the fact that Scarlet Witch is a major reason why the X-Men are in this position in 616, in this life of Moira. None of that feels like it matters. Like, yeah, we know it, but it's not, the weight is not there. And that's the problem. This book feels breezy.
Yeah. And I feel like I think Leah Williams has been open with it. Like this has had a lot of editorial issues.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I'm starting to see. This almost doesn't feel like a one person's vision. It's too convoluted for it to be someone's sole vision. I feel like I don't know.
I don't think she ever intended this to be an event. I think it was intended to be a part of the core X Factor title.
Yep, which got canceled and this got made. Yeah.
Right. Which you can
see because the X Factor characters are on the peripherals,
and they have no reason to be there.
Yeah, there's no real integration with it, but outside of the autopsy which we had at the beginning.
Yeah, and there are elements of the X Factor story that if you didn't read X Factor, mean nothing to you. Like, why are they talking to each other? What the hell does this mean? And it's constant. And I guess you're right. That's not necessarily her fault. But at the same time, if those were the cards you were dealt, you kind of have to just play them. And you don't necessarily just stick to whatever it was that you initially wanted to do. You got to switch it up. These characters are not central to the conflict. They're not. They don't matter. Magneto matters. Where is he? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
He's probably playing chess somewhere, some plastic chess.
And here are 2 characters I'd love to see more of: Rogue and Gambit. They come in, and they just start fighting. They're completely irrelevant. Cyclops, a character who you think might have something to say about this, look at all the things that he went through directly because of what Scarlet Witch did. And all he says in this comic book is kicking kaiju ass. That's all he has to say.
Okay. You got me there. Yep, I'm on your side now.
And I don't want to, I'm not trying to take a side of Leah Williams sucks. This book is trash. But I can't help but feel like there's something that this could have been that would have been really special that it's not.
And I've read other Leah Williams stuff. Like, I know it's possible. Like, her Mary Jane stuff is great. Right. Yeah.
The Emma Frost, she wrote the Emma Frost one shot, right? From just before this whole thing started with the House and Powers, there was like that era of X-Men that was a little weird. Matthew Rosenberg's era.
Where he was just killing people in the streets.
Yes. And they were dealing with, X-Man, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there was
I wiped that from my memory. That was a weird era of the X-Men.
But there was this great Emma Frost one shot that I'm pretty confident Leah Williams wrote that people were in love with. It was great.
Yeah.
This is a far cry from that.
Yeah, this reeks of too many cooks in the kitchen, I think.
Yeah. So I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I can't give this book the benefit of the doubt. I can't in good conscience tell anyone to pick this up. I just can't.
Let's see you change your mind in issue 5. Let's go.
Okay. What are they going to do?
It's going to be Jean Grey for 20 pages.
Okay. Well, that I don't have confidence in that because I think the only time she's really even in the book is this random panel at the end where she's got her back turned to the camera. So she's completely irrelevant. But we're promised that in the next issue, Scarlet Witch will tell us who attacked her because she knows who attacks her. I don't care anymore.
This is like the opposite of Human Target, where it's like a whodunit that doesn't matter.
Right.
It's like, I don't care anymore. Like, she's already alive. What's the point?
and the answer is probably going to be totally irrelevant. It's not
going to be. It's going to be ignored. Yeah.
Okay, that would get me back.
That's what we call a callback.
Yeah, I like that. It's probably going to be her. It's probably going to be Scarlet Witch herself.
Wait, so you think she choked herself in a David Carradine death situation?
Yep.
Wow. All right.
With Uru metal, magic metal.
So we got to do in the Marvel universe to get off sometimes. So,
Well, Vision's not doing it anymore. So,
his vibrate mode got removed, I guess.
Oh, man. I got a story I want to tell you, but I cannot tell it here.
I'm not sure I want to know it.
Oh,
so
man.
The books we read.
Yeah, that's going to do it for our review segment. But, of course, before we go, we always want to let you guys know what we're looking forward to that's dropping next week. As always, right, I have to put this out there. We don't actually fully know what's coming out next week because of all the issues that are going on. But we still, want to give it a shot and let you guys know what we're excited about. Of course, if you want to let us know what you're excited about, you should write in to thecomicspals@gmail.com or get us on social at @thecomicspals or leave us a comment wherever it is that you're listening to this. Anything jumping out at you, Tyler?
I got 3 ones that are jumping out to me.
Shoot.
Inferno number 3.
Yes.
This is the X-Men I want to read,
Yes.
Devil's Reign number 1, the new street level Marvel event, spearheaded, as
that's going to be cool.
Jumping on point from the Daredevil, Zdarsky's Daredevil.
Who's writing that? Zdarsky, right?
I believe so, yeah. And Arkham City, The Order of the World number 3, which is this kind of weird off the road Arkham villain story with like D-list, like the 10-eyed man. But it's drawn by Danny, and I think it's written by Dan Waters. It's real good stuff. It's real good stuff, and it's within continuity too. It feels like a Black Label book, even though they're directly referencing, Fear State stuff that's happening. So
right. I'm also going to shout out Devil's Reign. This feels like we talked about Dark Reign not that long ago, or not Dark Reign, Shadowland. And this reminds me of that era of comics, even the Dark Reign stuff. You know, you take Norman out, you put Fisk in, it kind of gives me that same energy. I'm very excited for it. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run has been really, really special and phenomenal. And I can't wait to see what he does in this next chapter.
It's Chichetto, too. We're getting some more Chichetto, which I can't say no to that.
One of my favorite artists ever.
That's a lofty thing. Yeah,
absolutely. I've loved his work
since Rucka is a Punisher.
Yeah, man. Oh, that was so good. That was so good.
Force of nature Punisher story. Yeah.
Yep. And then also Inferno. Man, this has been good. It's so good. Obviously, it makes it sad how good it is because we know that this is the end. But RB Silva's jumping on art this time. Very capable. RB Silva's been a regular contributor in the X-Men line. And it's going to be phenomenal. We will be reviewing that here for sure. As for what else we'll be reviewing, who knows? Hopefully it all comes out. Thank you so much for listening. Listen to our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday, where you can hear us talking about the characters you love and all the places you can find them. Listen to our image reviews, which drop every single Wednesday. This week we talked about, well, it's out now. We talked about Spawn, and I feel like we talked about another book. But
the new Mark Miller book? Did you do that one?
Yes, thank you. Yep. We did King of Spies, #1. Really, really good, in my opinion. I would say you should pick that up.
That's Matteo Scalera. Of course.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Doesn't matter who's writing it. That's some tasty comic booking.
Did you check that out?
It is on my reading the list for this 8-hour train ride I'm doing on Saturday. So
okay. Well, we'll get you on the drive sooner rather than later, so you can check out these books in advance as well.
And Journey into Quistery will be coming back soon. I'm just having life things that I'm trying to handle, as you can see if you're on YouTube, these freaking boxes. Which finger is what? There. Boxes.
Tyler has moved.
I've moved. I have a new job. I'm married. I'm cold.
He moved.
A lot of shit going on, guys.
Ice hell.
It's not that bad.
The frozen hell. You told me people have to go underground to get to school. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I'm within driving distance of at least 3 or 4 breweries, so I don't mind. My gut will say hello further on, but yeah, I've already started writing questions for it. I don't know of a date yet, but it's coming back soon. So,
well, stay tuned. We will update you guys on that as we know more, as Tyler's schedule allows. Until next week, for Tyler, I'm Sean saying take care, guys.
Au revoir.